Hi, and welcome back to Grow Joyfully. Today we're going to bake a chicken. This is just a little sized chicken that I got from the store, and I had watched on Roots and Refuge, actually it is the Farmer's Table, with Jess, her new channel. She was baking a beautiful big chicken that they had grown and processed on their own farm. Now, we have our own chickens, and yes, I was raised on a farm, but I don't have enough courage to do the whole, dispatching, butchering, etc. So my son does that, but I'm not there yet. And he had given us some of his Cornish cross hens earlier when I helped him cut them up and what have you, but I was out of them. So we're just going to settle for a store chicken. It's a different process. It's hard to even pronounce. I need to look up the meaning of it. It's spatchcock chicken. That's how you bake it. And the idea is that you cut right down here with the scissors just to cut down the backbone. Now on different cooks like, I'm going to rinse that off. Julia Child and different things, they often cut the entire backbone out. But Jess did just cutting right down here on one side, and that allowed her to sear the meat on both sides. So that's what I'm going to attempt. These are potatoes that we grew out in our garden. Some of them are pretty funky, but we are using them and using every bit. I will make mashed potatoes with these, although I am considering roast potatoes. That might be super good. So we'll see how it goes and see what I think. But for now, we're going to attempt to cut this part of the chicken. You are going to be learning with me. I have never done this before. I don't know if this is a how-to video or let's do it together video. So let's get busy and see what we can do. Okay. Now here is the spine all the way down. I saw Jess. First of all, it doesn't bother me to handle raw meat. I grew up on a farm. Right now I'm picking off little pin feathers. I grew up on a farm and we butchered our chickens, pigs, cows, etc. So I have to be a big girl and get back into it. I'm getting too cityfied. Well, that's going actually easier than I thought. So you just go to the right of the tail or to the left, depending on what hand is dominant for you. I have some good Cutco scissors. It's getting a little harder. Oh, I know why. It's the innards inside. Okay, and it's still a teensy bit frozen. So what we're going to do is flip this chicken over, and I like to cut off the extra fat that they leave here. Some people might want to use that for having more grease to make gravy, but to me, that's not very palatable. So I like to clean up the chicken as much as possible, cut off some funky things. You see that it is brown right here. That is because I defrosted it in the microwave and I defrosted it a little bit too much. So it's not a bad chicken. It's just because I defrosted it too much. Okay, now don't let this gross out. If you want, you can wear rubber gloves, or you can throw your shoulders back and just get right in there and do it. Now, I didn't see anything inside. I just must be cutting up against the bone. So seeing how this is a new experience for me, we're learning together. A little bit frozen still. We just want to make it through so we can actually open up the chicken and sear it in a cast iron pan with some butter, a tablespoon of butter, and a tablespoon of oil. I use avocado oil. And then see, here we get up against the wing. This chicken was not cleaned out very well. And there's a good way to solve that. Here's its little heart. I won't show you so you won't go screaming from the room. Just don't make a big deal out of it. Clean it out. Put it in the garbage. A lot of people will simmer hearts, gizzards, etc. for a really nice broth or gravy. So here we're this far. You can see the cavity of the bird. There's a little more innards. Rinse it off. Rinse it down the garbage disposal. Set your world right again. All right now. So there's the breasts right here. Here's the two breasts, legs, thighs, and wings. We want to be able to get all the way through so that we can lay it out like Jess did and be able to, another thing that she said that she did was to go like this to the chicken, either on its back or on its front, to get it to lay out better. There we go. Now you see how that's splayed out? Hopefully you're getting a good enough view. So that's how you cut a chicken in half with cooking shears. These are Cutco. So then I am going to rinse the chicken, rinse my hands. I clean my sink thoroughly before I put my chicken in here. If you see objectionable things still in the chicken, feel free to clean it out. Make it all nice and tidy. And I'm going to stop the video here after I wipe my hands off so I can give my hands a proper wash and start preparing the pan. The only cast iron pans I have are all about the same size. I do believe they're 9 or 10 inches. It's going to be a little harder to sear this side, but we're going to attempt it. So I will be right back. I have washed my hands twice with soap and water, even though I'm going to get them dirty very quickly. Dry my hands with paper towel, and I will take you over to the stove. I have turned it on to medium-high and added 1 tablespoon of oil. I'm using avocado oil from Costco, and 1 tablespoon of butter because Jess believes that it makes things tastier and maybe even the chicken browns up prettier. So let's get the chicken in this. I have the oil heating up and I'll be right back. Get this camera set up so you can see. Okay, now while the oil and the butter's heating up, we're supposed to blot the chicken dry because when there's a lot of water on the chicken, it will start steaming while you're cooking it, which will send out all the moisture from the chicken, making the chicken drier than you want. So we've got the inside blotted, and I can hear the oil starting to pop. Turn the chicken over and dry the chicken. Especially the breasts, because that's what we most like, and that's what I think would get driest the fastest. But give it all a good pat, and whoever plucked this chicken at the processing plant did a really poor job, but it is what it is. I'm sure it was an automatic plucker. You always have to check your chicken. Make sure it doesn't have a bunch of feathers. and what have you. So, trying to get this chicken nice and dry. Now, again, I am going to go wash my hands before it gets too hot in the oil so that we can season it a bit before we put it in the oil. So I'll be right back. Okay, I love Lowry seasoning salt. Whether it's good for you or not is not the debate here, but I do love it. I'm going to put a little of that on. And I use a lot of onion powder and garlic salt. Now there's one thing wrong with adding the seasoning right now. This could turn out to be a fiasco because it could also burn in here and make it not look so crunchy and crispy. So I'm just going to rub it in a bit. It might be more ideal to add the seasoning when you're going to pop this chicken in the oven. But we will see what I've created, what kind of a monster I've created. I've certainly created a mess, but isn't that what cooking's all about? Okay, let's get this thing in here. It's going to be poppy. So, let's move the dirty cutting board. I've already washed my hands with soap and water 4 times. I do it between every step, and then I use a paper towel to dry my hands. I just kind of feel better about that. So what we're going to do is leave the chicken in here, and we're going to brown it and sear it, and then we will be right back. I checked on the recipes, and yes, Jess does season her chicken as she's searing it. She prefers to use a good flaky salt. I like to use onion powder and garlic salt and seasoning salt, Lowry seasoning salt. So it's just a matter of preference. So we're going to sear each side really well. Let's take a look. See how this is starting to get seared at all. You don't want to burn it. Oh yeah, that's getting pretty brown. Let's throw this guy over this way. Now you see these parts aren't getting seared, but the main part, the breast, is. And that's going to add some color and flavor as we go. A helpful hint is to, once you put the chicken down, which I did before on the other side, leave it at least 30 seconds, which I did much longer, in order to get that searing going to seal in the flavors. So that is a recommendation. If you're going to seal a chicken or a roast or what have you, put it down, face side down. Of course, you can't do that with a roast because you don't know which side is face down. But you want to put it down and just let that sear happen for at least 30 seconds. So we should try to sear the chicken about 3 minutes on each side. I had to turn down my stove a bit. This is not gas, electric. And it's getting a little brownish. Oh, I tell you, always check your chicken for feathers, even though I gave it a good wash. That might not bother some people, but I don't want it. And I think I'll turn it down even more. So it's supposed to be medium or medium high, but my fan is getting too overexcited here. So then we're going to brown the other side as we're fixing our chicken. Most likely we won't be eating the wings anyway. But I do want to have the size. I'm going to turn this way down. We're just trying to get a sear on all of this. And it looks like we have achieved that. So let's turn it back down, face down. We're going to turn off the heat. And I'm going to add at least four, if not 5 cloves of garlic to bake in there. We're going to cook the chicken about 50 minutes, 50 to an hour. And we're going to use our meat thermometer to make sure that we've got an internal temperature in the chicken breasts at 165 degrees. So I am going to open up the oven, which is preheated, and we're going to put this cast iron. This cast iron is Lodge cast iron, and so far I've really loved it and had good results with it. There we go. In the oven, and we're going to set a timer for, what did I just say? 50 minutes, and then we're going to check the internal temperature. So after that, I will bring you back, and we'll see you in just a bit. While the chicken is baking in the oven, we are going to make a really nice dipping sauce that Jess has discovered from the really good cook who wrote the book Mad Hungry Feeding Men and Boys, and that's by Lucinda S. Quinn. And in this dipping sauce, we're going to have fresh lemon juice, 2 tablespoons, and 3 crushed cloves of garlic, and 3 tablespoons of avocado oil. She used, what's it called? Olive oil. There we go. Also a pinch of red pepper flakes. So let's get to making this, because you can dip the chicken that's baking in the oven in this delicious sauce. So we need 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. The lemon is all washed up. Get those pesticides off and get it nice and squeezed. And we're going to try to get 2 tablespoons from this, so I can save the other part of the lemon for something else. Close enough. And put away this. So then we're going to do 3 tablespoons of avocado oil. Now, you'll find that when you add an acid to oil, that it kind of ends up being kind of creamy and emulsifies when you give it a good stir. So we'll just start stirring this before we add the crushed garlic cloves and the red pepper flakes. Now I think I personally would just like to put in some nice flaky salt. See how it's becoming creamier? Something new I learned. And this is from Jess and Lucinda S. Quinn. This book, Mad Hungry Feeding Men and Boys, is on Amazon. The one I looked at was $18.95. There might be other copies you could find in a thrift store or borrow a copy from a friend. So as far as salt goes, I usually don't cook with a recipe, and so when I do cook and I have to do a recipe, it kind of stresses me out, but that's okay. We're just going to do, I'll bet you that's about 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to take the garlic cloves and squeeze them through the garlic press. There's one. 2. It's hard to do one-handed. And 3, and as you can guess, with the garlic cloves in with the chicken and the garlic cloves in the dipping sauce, it's going to be pretty garlicky, but it's healthy and good for you. Hopefully your family likes it. If not, just back off on that garlic, and you could just use some onion salt, lemon pepper powder, you know, whatever your family likes. So we added our salt, our avocado oil, and our lemon juice, and not squeezed, but crushed garlic. So I don't like heat, so I'm going to be ever so careful with this pepper. With these pepper flakes, just enough to give it some flavor. And so that's it for the dipping sauce. Now I'm not going to make very much because maybe my husband and my youngest daughter would enjoy this, but and also my son who's coming over tonight, but the rest of them, the grandkids and my other daughter, not so much. So we will just use this tiny bit for us and then see how it goes. I am going to peel and boil the potatoes that we grew in our garden and then mash them. I always add cream just because it makes the smoothest, nicest mashed potatoes and a real tummy filler, real rib sticking good dinner. And we'll have to figure out a vegetable to cook. So we'll see what we have, and we'll be right back. Just a side note, you can put any herb that you want in this dressing. Again, since the kids and some of my grandkids, I should say, and then some of my own kids that are growing up will not be eating the sauce, you know, I can kind of experiment with the herbal taste in here, but I'm going to surprise you and bring out a couple herbs. I chose dried parsley and a savory turkey blend to put in my oil dipping sauce. Now I will probably use just a couple shakes. Not coming out very fast, so a few more shakes. I would say this is 1/4 teaspoon or less. Same with the parsley. Now I've got some kids coming in to visit, so I might have to film part of this later. Such is the life of a grandma and mom. We'll see you back in a bit. 50 minutes is up, and now it's time to use the digital thermometer. I have my cute little grandson here with my son. He's trying to find the doggy. Now I know just by looking at this that it is not done. If you look at the color of the liquid down there in the chest cavity and it's pink, that would not be done enough for me. Now of course we don't want to, sorry about the camera, we don't want to dry this out, but I think we better take a little reading. Here's the breast. Let's see what we have. We have, well, according to this, we have 194, and it's only supposed to be 165. I think I might turn it over and then take another reading. I turn the chicken over, and I'm going to insert the meat thermometer right there. We're at 174. Now, I didn't expect it to have so much liquid in it. I kind of thought it would be, I don't know, a little crispier. As you can see right there, that is not finished. You see right there in the leg? That's not finished. So I, for myself, am going to continue to bake this. I might even do it with the lid off so that we can crisp it up. We'll be back when it's crispier. I have the potatoes peeled and on the back of the stove boiling, so we'll keep an eye on that.